Okay, so I think we're live now, and okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Tipcast. And if you're watching, we're doing a simulcast today. So if you're watching on Indy's channel, welcome, and if you're watching on X, welcome. So, and I'm also on Facebook and then my Rumble channel and my YouTube. So it's gonna be good. We're covering all the areas today. And who I have with me is I literally said it on Facebook. My sister from another mister, Indigo her, and I really feel close to her, and like, we've helped each other out with guests and we've done a lot of shows together. So, I always enjoy when Indy comes on the show. And a little bit more about my guest. Indigo Angel is a multidimensional spiritual warrior, Gridkeeper, and ascension guide whose mission is to expose hidden power structures across global ley lines and Stargate systems. Through deep planetary work, she uncovers suppressed histories, reptilian interference, and manipulation of timelines. Her insights into the Stargate 10 and the Force Breeder realms with Iran shed light on spiritual warfare at the highest level. Indigo is the founder of IndigoAngel222.com, where she shares her activations, teachings, and grid. Getting into today, I said tonight, we'll be getting into like activating Stargates in Israel and reclaiming planetary sovereignty. Iran is the capital of the Force Breeder program, Stargate 10, the bifurcation of historical timelines and the war over destiny, the reptilian stronghold and spiritual implications of the Iran-Israel conflict, timeline warfare, prayer, and power of conscious resistance, and urgent global spiritual warfare. So it's a lot of stuff, and I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Indy, good to see you, and happy summer. How are you?
Hey, Rob. It's really great to be here. Thanks for having me on your channel, and thank you for simulcasting. Welcome, everyone, from my channel and from the X platform I'm streaming to as well right now live. So I think the first time that I'm streaming live to X. So welcome, everyone, from X. And yeah, I think we have a lot to get into today. It's been a while since we've come together, since a lot of the global stirring and, since the World War III timeline, the holy wars have been raging. We've been like in a 13-day standoff between Israel and Iran, and things have just been a little crazy. I think globally speaking, there's a lot that's coming up. There's a lot of purification of the timelines, purification of the grids, purification of the holy wars, everything. So a lot is happening, and I'm happy to come here and just try to shed some light in whichever way this conversation is entirely going to go today. But I'm currently sitting out by the pool and just trying to enjoy the white summer that we're having. We have a
Yeah,
little bit of
yeah.
a delay.
So,
Yeah.
so, so tell us about tell us what your intel on Iran. Yeah, guys. I mean, we do have a delay, so like if you hear us talking over each other, that's why. But what I wanted to say was, tell us your intel on Iran, like them being the Stargate 10 and the Force Breeder program. Like,
Yeah.
what do you know about that, and like, what do you think is going on a deeper spiritual level?
Well, on a deeper spiritual level, I think we are currently experiencing a severe bifurcation of the global timelines. And within that bifurcation, what's happening is we have one timeline, I call it timeline AI 42, 4 standing for the foundation of our reality as human beings, and 2 defining that polarity split in consciousness. And within timeline AI 42, essentially everything anti-human, transhumanism, anti-life, anti-God, one world order, one world religion, the prey versus predator codes, the victim victimizer codes, the crucifixion wounding, basically everything that's trying to keep humanity suppressed into a phantom timeline or a phantom matrix is running through timeline AI 42. And then we have timeline 144, which is the organic, spiritual, natural, ruled by natural law timeline, in which most of the indigos and starseeds and truthers and those that still possess a soul on planet Earth essentially reside in. Okay, and we're constantly trying to battle the forces that are trying to suck us into timeline AI 42. So we have a severe bifurcation of timelines. Now, within those bifurcations, what's happening is the people who are in timeline AI 42, they essentially live on an entirely different historical Earth narrative versus those that are on timeline 144. So there's a lot of tension right now at this time between these timeline splits. And what we're witnessing and what that's really kind of purging at the baseline is what is basically coming through Stargate 10. So we have 12 universal Stargates that exist all over the Earth that support the total existence of humanity and all of those timelines within it and allow, life to exist. These Stargates are the Earth's natural, organic, energetic resources that essentially support everything on the Earth, and they govern certain zones within the planet as well, and what plays out within those zones. So, Stargate 10 and a lot of other Stargates, but mostly Stargate 10 is mostly hijacked, and it's infiltrated by negative alien agendas. It's infiltrated by the reptilians, by the draconians, by all of the ancient inverted Atlantean pylon implant networks, which are frequency fences and control fences, and they're mind control grids, basically. And so Stargate 10 has been invaded by these negative alien reversal forces. It functions out of a fallen Metatronic current. And this has been the force that has brought forced hybridization and forced breeder programs on the planet, and basically a frequency net imprisonment in the planet. It's all running through Stargate 10, which resides on the border of Iran and Iraq. And so what's happening here is they're blocking the Elohai Christos missions. They're blocking this energy from re-entering and running and transmitting through the planet. And by blocking this, they are essentially destroying all of the life force that's there, and they're running anti-human DNA coding. So what this brings forth is dark inversions. It collapses down all the organic sense systems and grids, and it runs predator, prey versus predator field architecture, enemy patterning, and it's designed to mimic and distort the original creator fields. So basically, what is playing out with Israel and Iran right now is entirely the core essence of the holy wars, which is Christ versus Antichrist warfare that's happening. Those that essentially come from a place of hate versus the people that come from a place of love and full acceptance of all creation. So, yeah, Stargate 10 is definitely a problem on this Earth. It's a very scary thing, I think, on some level. I don't like to put out fear, but at the same time, I'm totally past this narrative of having to be spiritually correct, having to be consciously correct, having to be politically correct. I don't care anymore. I feel like I really can throw that out the window at this point, because the Earth is essentially experiencing a warfare on terrorism. And because this bifurcation of timelines has become so severe that we are now battling the war on terrorism on the planet. So that's a pretty intense thing, and I can get into the severity of all of that if you would like me to.
You kind of cut out. I was going to say, what we're seeing with these forced breeder programs, it's like the heavy suppression of women. Like, one thing that you posted one time, the women from all over the Islamic world, like, you showed their traditional garb of what it used to be, like back in the day before there was this like forced breeder stuff where they have to like cover their face, like, and you were showing countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and for YouTube purposes, I'm not being like racist or anything like that. We're just doing like an intelligent comparison here. But these women had like that wasn't their traditional garb, right? Like they wore, and this was like forced onto them with this like new weird system of Islam that wants to suppress women and put them in like a really horrible place. It's actually like old. It's like it shouldn't be any way of thinking, but it is very old way of thinking. It's patriarchy. It's the suppression of the divine feminine. It's actually really horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, or if you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did post that video of the outfits showing people how free women used to be, especially in Iran. I think prior to their I don't know if it was like a revolution where the Islamic regime took over. I can't remember what year it was. I think maybe like 1947, 1950. Don't quote me on this. If you guys know, drop it down in the comments. It's around that time.
Well, no, but India, it was the whole Islamic world. Which was weird. Is it was weird. It was like you showed like every country. You know what I mean? It was weird. Like at some point they came to this like agreed point where they were gonna like have women be covered up, and like I've never understood that. It's very bizarre.
Well, at the end of the day, Rob, it all comes from the Quran.
Well, I was gonna say like me.
We have a pretty intense delay. Okay, we have a pretty intense delay. Would you like me to continue to? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Yeah, for sure. I don't want to. This is a good show. Next time I'll use. Yeah, I can hear you. Next time I'll use Zoom. I shouldn't use StreamYard. I don't know. For the amount I pay for StreamYard every month, it's definitely not worth like. This is an issue. Sorry. I really apologize.
Yeah, no worries. Well, essentially, yes, you're exactly correct. This forest breeder program exists everywhere in the world. So let me be clear that the forest breeder program is something that kind of began, I think, in the fall of the motherlands of Mu. It began in Genesis. It began with Moses and the birth of the Bible and the patriarchal domination and control, the suppression of the Naqal tablets, the all of the Atlantic and Atlantean slave trades, all of the Draconian and Lyran wars, everything that has basically descended down from the beginning of time when it comes to how women have been treated on the planet and what reproduction and fertility has been used for. And this has been expressed through the Mary Magdalene laundries, the West African women being taken as slaves, the Irish women being taken as slaves, and now the Arabian slave trade, which is actually the largest current slave trade that exists on the planet. And people don't realize that right now we have a massive slaughtering of Christians all over the world, from the Congo, different points in Africa, to Syria, all over the world. If you are a Christian in a Muslim, an Islamic dominated, radical Islamic dominated country, you need to get the F out, and the F out quickly, and get to the free countries or the free worlds, because at some point you are going to be existing under predatorial, draconic jizya tax just to live, until one of them decides with a machete at some point that your life is no longer worthy because you haven't submitted under the Mohammedan law of the Sharia law or the rule. So this is a very serious thing, but this does where we can see the forest breeder programs most expansively shown, okay, where the root of evil resides is how women are being treated. You have to look at that because we are the inferior force. We are codependent off of the masculine force on the planet, right? So the Islamic radical traditions that go back to the Quran that state that a woman does need to be covered, her garments, she needs to wear these garments, she needs to be covered, she's not allowed to see the sunlight. The radicalized Islamic nations and draconian negative extraterrestrial forces that are hybridized within those Stargate 10 type lines, they are enforcing that rule on the planet. Essentially, they are enforcing the force breeder programs, and they are dominating this to the fullest, essentially. And what's happening to the women is a global fight for the divine feminine, because at its root, this is what is underneath the holy war. What we are witnessing is the divine feminine struggle to essentially try to survive under a misogynistic, patriarchal Armageddon narrative that is of the force breeder programs. This is through abusive control, through wearing of the hijab and the burqa, through wartime rape and sexual violence, in which we've seen from October 7th. You know, this war goes back farther than that, but what we've seen now that the Israel and the Iran war has amplified, that many women were taken as hostages, ultimately raped, taken for slavery. You have the Yazidi women, 10,000 women that were taken and essentially used for sex slave, violence in armed conflict. So this is a lot of sexual torture, a lot of forced marriages, child forced marriages, forced prostitution, forced pregnancies, forced abortions, forced sterilization, forced sexual mutilation of the female clitoris, removal of the female clitoris, stoning women, hanging women, honor killings of women, acid attacks. Okay, and when I say this is a war on terror, these acid attacks are happening in the United Kingdom. Women getting their eyeballs taken out because now Islamic radical men, particularly in Afghanistan and Pakistan, in these countries, they believe that women don't even need 2 eyeballs. They're actually making it a law in Pakistan currently, right now, that women have to now wear patches over one of their eyes because they're no longer allowed to see. Okay, this is getting completely out of freaking control. Like, this is insane that this is tolerated on free Earth, okay? Enslavement Earth, prison Earth, whatever the heck we live on. Like the densest planet in the entire universal system, apparently. The feminine energy is just being completely siphoned. It's being completely hijacked. And really, if you wonder why we are in this war in the first place, everything that you see with Israel and everything that you see with Iran, this is the war on the feminine underneath it all that no one really wants to acknowledge and bring to the surface, because it's the Christ versus the Antichrist forces. And I have said for a long time, okay, and people might call me crazy, people might think that I am whatever, but I've said for a while that Muhammad is the Antichrist, okay? That prophet is the opposing force against the Christ forces on the planet. So right now we're having massive Stargate activations is in Israel. The Temple Mount itself is a 36-dimensional Anunnaki Stargate portal in which functions by cosmic law, and it is one of the Stargate systems that supports the crystalline structures on the planet, supports the 12th dimensional DNA on the planet, supports the whole infrastructure of the spiritual Christ ascension pathways and passageways on the planet. There's an entire organic Stargate network that is there that goes from Mount Natai to Mount Olives. I have my map. I could show this to you on the map. I could show you where these locations are. But right now, this is where the core of the holy wars is raging. I've been seeing psychically that the ring of fire is running through the Middle East. Actual holy rings of fire in the grids, in the lands, that's purifying, it's transmuting, it's alchemizing, it's cleansing all of the death and the destruction that has been blocked and has been infiltrated and hijacked from Stargate 10 in Iran on the Iraq border currently as we speak. Sorry, that's a mouthful.
Wow.
I just like, yeah, I know it's a lot, and
no,
it feels
no,
very
that's
intense just getting
okay.
it
And
out.
like, you know, like I have like I have like yeah, I have a real interest in this. I mean, not just because of like for our American safety, but like you know, like I'm half Lebanese, and you know, like I grew up like Christian Lebanese. You know, like my dad was Christian Lebanese, and like I would hear about like when in the '80s, like the civil war between the Muslims and the Christians, and like I saw like a Muslim takeover of like Lebanon. You know, like women are still allowed to walk around somewhat freely in Lebanon, but somewhat like some women but some women have to stay covered up, like if they're, I guess, if they're Muslim. But the Christian women can still walk around. But you're right, like you see like a takeover of these like countries, you know. And they used to call Lebanon the pearl of the Middle East, you know. Like it used to be like a beautiful travel destination for the world, and now it's getting like, you know, ruined, I think, you know, but with war. And then I was going to tell you, you know, there was a proxy war in 2006. I don't know if you remember. Like it was Hezbollah, who was like a Iranian-backed military group that's like in Lebanon versus Israel. You know, because the reason why I remember this so well is because I was watching Anthony Bourdain at the time, and he got caught over there. He was doing a show. He was doing it was called Anthony Bourdain in Beirut, and he was like showing like the good food and stuff like that. And like then all of a sudden like war broke out, and there was like missiles being fired, and he was like caught in his hotel. And but then it's like once you think about these wars, they go back thousands of years, I think, you know, between the Palestinians and Israel and Iran and Israel. And it was funny. I heard Trump say the other day, he's like, I never heard Trump swear before in my life, but Trump was like, he's like, these people have been fighting for so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I saw it. They played the clip on Rumble. I was like, I can't believe Trump said that, you know. But he's absolutely right. You know, these wars have been going on for a long time, you know. But like, I worry about like our involvement in it. Like, what do you? I know you're a seer too. Like, what do you see coming to fruition with this? Like, if you had to make a prediction, you mean between our involvement, possible retaliation against the U.S., and then the outcome of the war? Like, what do you, and even from an esoteric level?
There's a lot of questions all at once, Rob. My brain's exploding. Just kidding.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll do my best here. So I have to say, for one, I love the Lebanese people. Like, and I have to say too, like, I do love the Middle East. Like, the reason why I've been thrown into all of this information the way I have is because I had so much interest in it. I did so much traveling over there. I did a lot of travel in Egypt. I did a lot of traveling in Egypt. I literally stayed 6 weeks in Algeria with a very conservative Islamic family. So I experienced firsthand how they feel about the United States. I experienced firsthand how they feel about anything that is not of Islam. Okay, and that was essentially drilled into me. Immediately going to Algeria, immediately became a second-class citizen. I immediately knew what it felt like as a woman to have all of my rights stripped away from me and be existing during that time under a state of fear and under the rule of the male family members that were there to basically tell me what I could and couldn't do. So when I speak about these things, I just want to say it's because I've experienced it firsthand. Maybe that's not where I'm from initially, and that's not my entire life background, but I got a taste of it enough to let me know that that's not okay. Okay, and so and I want to say, for the United States, I think we have a much bigger problem here on the homeland that a lot of people don't really recognize that's occurring. And I think this is because not enough people understand what Islam is truly about. You see a movement that is happening right now, and this kind of answers some of your questions of where do I see this going. Okay, because we have a massive problem with the liberal leftists and the percentage of them who have essentially become pro-Palestinian Hamas terrorists themselves. They have been trained under soft soft to moderate jihad technology. Okay, and they have started this uprising. People need to understand that the Iranian regime, the Islamic regime in Iran, was established through a combining of the liberalist left mentality converged with the radicalized parties of Islam. Okay, and so that's how it actually came into power. It was backed by this. And in terms of where does the future going for the US, we have to understand we're kind of not in such a good place right now. Islam is taking over. Islam is taking over. It's already, they do it through legal immigration. All these sleeper cells that people are talking about that are already here, Al Qaeda is here, ISIS is here, Hamas is here in the United States, Hezbollah is here in the United States. This is a real thing. And what just happened that we all should be appalled and shocked about right now is that there's a guy named Zohran Mamdani, and he just declared victory in New York City's right now Democratic mayor primary. He was elected after Andrew Cuomo conceded the race in New York City. And so that's not good. Essentially, what this means is we have just elected in New York City as a mayor a jihadist, okay, a radical Islamist that is coming in. And trust me, he has been at the head of all of these pro-Palestinian marches, which, by the way, are backed and funded entirely by George Soros. Okay, by the Cthulhu from the demonic depths of the Pacific itself. You realize Soros is an anti-life, negative ET Cthulhu entity that funds every single organization that disrupts unity in America. He is the opposing force that stands behind most of this, along with the foundations and the funding of the draconian leaders in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And they're already buying royalties to all of our universities, buying up the education systems, buying up history in AI to alter the narrative towards a Qatarian Islamic narrative that changes history, literally rips history from the Jewish people, rips history from the Christian people. So what's happening is we are in a war on terrorism. Like this is going to take over. By 2050, they do predict that the United States will be a majority Muslim nation. UK will be already taken over as well. That their goal has always been. People don't understand this. The Stargate 10 types, they don't live in a free world like we live in. They live in a world of harsh existence, harsh circumstances, and they breed the most dominant alpha male draconian reptilian types on the planet. The fact that this Islamic mayor just won in New York is no coincidence. He comes with a piercing, draconian, invading third eye force in which encapsulates people, sucks the life force out of them, and traps them and imprisons them into timeline AI 42. He has come with this technology. He has been given this, and now he's been granted the key to the Big Apple. What do you think is going to happen? So future predictions, let's just leave it to the comments. Okay, what do y'all think is going to happen? It's really not a good thing considering we have a massive takeover of the jihadists who have built a Muslim enclave inside of Texas as we speak. And now it's a forced requirement that all of the kids in Texas actually eat halal food. They are mandating these things. This will slowly and continually begin to creep in. It will begin to take over. And the reason why I speak so avidly about this and so straightforward about this is because we need to wake up. We are in a global war against terror, terror that is raging in the holy wars. And it's because people are forgetting who they are, where they came from. They're forgetting what their nations have been built upon. They're forgetting what their forefathers and their ancestors have sacrificed for them to keep these lands theirs, okay, and keep the culture alive. We are fighting the terror on disconnection from source. You know why Islam is so powerful? Because their connection to source is unfreaking deniable. It is the most cultish worship that you have ever known. It is a requirement that they pray to God 5 times a day. It is a requirement that they turn their bodies to Mecca in Saudi Arabia at the Saturn Black Cube matrix, and they worship the Saturn Black Cube. When we talk about the Saturn Black Cube being a mind control AI program, dark black goo intelligence, okay, that has inhabited the inner organic spiritual systems inside of the planet and has taken over through an evil, sluggish, sticky force that will not allow the organic systems to release that negative evil energy from inside of the planet. They have that blocked right at Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and every single Muslim which force breeds their children, 6 to 8 children per Muslim family, okay, and entraps the woman in that forced breeder program to breed their type on the planet, worshiping the Saturn Black Cube matrix. This is what the war on terror truly is: the terror of the bifurcation of the timelines and the deletion of the Jewish and the Christian history on the planet. This is what we're watching, okay? We're watching us endure and undergo a splitting of these timelines, and it is shattering coherence across the grids. It is creating a rift between all of the harmonic futures and recursive collapses that will happen. Okay, a lot of people in the future, this is my prediction. Okay, it's not the end of the world. The new earth is still going to emerge. Freedom is still going to emerge. But again, if people don't wake up to this, that freedom isn't free, the lives that we've all been living, this luxury of this pool I got in the backyard here, this ain't shit. This ain't nothing. This can be taken away from me in a second. And it's the same for everybody else, that we've been existing very comfortably for a very, very long time. And right now, we have to wake up to what is truly happening on the planet. Like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what happens to me when I start speaking. Like, I come out of my body. It's the truth, Rob.
That's hilarious. No, we can take questions too. I bet because people have been having a lot of questions since the beginning of the chat. I can go through them. And then guys, if you want to donate, you can do that too. You know, if you have a question you want answered right away. But no, this is a comment from Third Eye Tribe. She says, I heard that these portals and gates hold codes as well as parts of our souls. They want to control the reincarnation cycles or something like that. Would this be, and maybe she means like the overseers of our planet, like the reptilians, like, but it ties into, you know, the Stargates, right?
Absolutely. A lot of the portals and Stargates have been hijacked by negative ETs and negative agendas. All of them actually are kind of technically to some degree, some more and some less. Definitely Stargate 10. I mean, that is the evil of the evil. That's as far as it's going to go. That's the most blocked Stargate on the planet. But then it kind of falls into fourth planetary Stargate Giza, Egypt. That one is very hijacked as well. Sarasota 2 down in Florida has been Metatronic flowering for quite some time. Mount Shasta, the root chakra of the planet, this one has been highly hijacked and blocking a lot of the organic natural resources for quite some time. All of these Stargates can contribute to the reincarnation harvesting matrix traps on the planet and those Templar systems and egregores that essentially do actually keep people stuck in the recycling and reincarnation cycles. Absolutely. In the inverted universal tree of life systems. But this is ultimately propagated by the black hole and the wormhole systems on the planet. So you have heard of the J seals. This is why I talk about this stuff all the time. Like, if you watch my channel, I'm definitely a broken record when it comes to talking about these things, because it's just like trying to explain it, right? Like trying to let people know we have a set of crucifixion, persecution, and martyrdom systems in the planet that are functioning black hole systems that work within the ley lines, that work within along the east side of the United States down through the Atlantic Ocean. This is where the main J seals are located, but they are holographic. Okay, and they work within the parallel timelines. So what we start to see happen is when we have these collapses into the black hole systems, it works on the parallel dimensions first before it starts to rip and pull the actual physical manifestation of reality into the black hole system. When the black hole system eventually collapses down, fragmentations of the land which operate off of the rift, this is when we see major extermination events, major fall events such as the fall of Mu, the fall of Lemuria, the fall of Atlantis. This is when the actual land gets sucked into the black hole system. This is what happened in the Bermuda. The Bermuda is one of the main wormholes in the JCL system. It is one of the JCLs itself. So we know for a fact there are black hole systems on the planet. How these function with the human beings is they actually reside within our bodies, and they can actually rip these open, and they can turn them on at high vacuum suction speeds and actually deplete our life force energy. They need more souls. They need more reincarnation. They need more sludge, more drudgery, more toil in the underworld, in the afterlife. There's not enough death for them on the main top of the planet. Well, they turn the JCL systems on. They funnel the black hole systems, and they suck everybody's life force basically down into the Bermuda Triangle and majorly into Stargate 10 in Iran. So it's a big deal. We've been trying to collapse down these black hole systems for a very long time. We work on it by individual, trying to do this metaphysically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, through meditation, through collective manifestation and thought. As we know, this is one of our strongest powers against evil. We know that it's about bringing our thoughts into unity and coherence and cohesiveness with one another. And the more people that get on the same page with recognizing that we're all walking around with these massive crucifixion implants inside of our body. Many, many people are walking the planet wearing the original stigmata wounds of Christ. They're wearing the crown of thorns. They are wearing the nails driven into their hands and feet, which, what does that mean? That means that they can't do nothing with their hands. Your hands are one of the most manifesting things to work with that you have to actually anchor heaven on the planet. They put stakes into your energy centers. They block this, so you cannot do that. You talk about the Jewish people, the Israeli lineage, which absolutely is a part of the original Lyran, Elohai, Elohim races, which were some of the original founder races, carrying the 12D soul blueprint and imprint. They've been imprinted with yellow badges, actual yellow badges that mark them for extermination, mark them for Holocaust, mark them for the Antichrist force to come and basically take them out. Now, am I saying that there's not negative and bad things? There are not fallen aspects of the Elohai and the Elohim that exist. Yes. Yes, this is true, right? Zionist nationalism and all of the bad things and you know, that have been created through BlackRock, right? And all these big rock
the Khazarians in too.
Yes. This is another form of the global harvesting and hijacking, but this is a part of the negative extraterrestrial agenda. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, say what you were going to say, Rob.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, like, a lot of people think that some of the highest amount of at the top of the Israelis, that they're Khazarians, you know, that they're like the Khazarian mafia and they're tied to the banking cabal, you know, that a lot of conspiracy theorists will point that out, you know. So that's what some people think. They're like, well, why are we going back to the war? This is also, they're like, why do we have something to do with this war? We're up against an Islamic takeover and a state that doesn't care about us, but they act like they're our friend Israel, but like we shouldn't, you know. And I have Jewish friends, I have Muslim friends, Jewish friends, whatever. But like, I'm just saying, like, the facts. Like, I don't think we should be involved in the war. You know what I mean? I think we should just like mind our business and like, you know, I think we need to take care of what's going on here at home, because like, you know, there's so many homeless people here, and like, we have so many problems inside the United States. But you know, at the end, wars fund money for the banking cartel, right? You know what I mean? So that again, that's why they keep these war wheels turning. If you ask my opinion, I don't know.
My opinion, and I respect your opinion. my opinion is that a lot of those types, like the Khazarians and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and those that own the big banking systems and things like this, that they're the ones that are the fallen Elohim lines. They're the ones that are the negative ET invader agendas that are trying to take down the Stargate systems in Israel. So it's their own kind, killing their own kind. But there is an organic, angelic human embodiment within that. And if the Jewish people as a whole are exterminated from the planet, which is what the agenda is, because the Islamic Caliphate, the 100-year Islamic Caliphate to take over the West, is to essentially exterminate all of the Jews so that way their Messiah, the Mahdi, okay, some of you may have heard about the Mahdi, so the Mahdi can come forward. They have to annihilate the Jews. It is in their scripture. It is what they are told to do by their prophet. If that happens, which we're very close to that, okay, or on some level, I mean, this is what we're seeing, that will shut down those Stargate systems in Israel. Okay, everything that is governed by cosmic law, everything that supports and brings through the highest crystalline DNA, the diamond heart, sun discs, everything that is embodied through that, it will shut those Stargate systems down. They will basically annihilate and remove the original founder, Lyran, Elohim, Elohi races off the planet. Then what are we looking at in terms of our future on the Earth? I think what will happen, my prediction is we will actually revert back to the Dark Ages. And this is my opinion. Yeah. I'm very opinionated about
sense.
It.
Yeah.
We'll go back in time. We will go back in time.
I agree. I agree. It makes sense. Yeah. This is an interesting question. This one's from Dr. Strange Doom. He says, what's a Stargate to a Merkaba vehicle? Isn't our Merkaba inside us and we can use the Merkaba to activate Stargates? Because I've heard of the Merkaba meditation and I've done a Merkaba meditation. I think the Merkaba is something that we can activate inside us that then lets us access Stargates. Is that true or?
Well, this is another thing. When we think about all of the spiritual technology that we utilize, okay, the Merkaba vehicle, all of these things, where did this come from originally? Does everyone know? Where did this Stargate architecture come from originally? It came from the Stargate in Israel. It came from the Temple Mount. It came from the King of Solomon. This is where this geometry and this awakening of this holographic architecture originated from in the planet. Yes. So when I say exterminating all the entire Jewish race, if they're gone, guess what's going to probably shut down? That Stargate's going to shut down. That Merkaba geometry is going to shut down. Aspects of our light body will actually become deleted. So this is actually very important. A lot of the spiritual principles in which the New Age community actually functions within and through today comes from Jewish Kabbalistic mysticism and some of their original founder teachings that actually go back to the original Emerald Covenant order. So the Merkaba is a very significant aspect of our light body. Many of us use it, see it, visualize it within our light body. It is a structure within our own functioning Stargate system within our body. Yes, absolutely. And it is something that sustains the spiritual immune system, biological immune system, and the spiritual immune system within the body. It is what allows us to access the fourth dimensional astral field and to bring forth vision and function within other timelines and parallels and realities, and allows us to access the infinite potential of our creator abilities through the Merkaba field. So it is technically a Stargate, but it's technically also a vehicle in which we can get into our float state, and we can access that divine inner union and marriage within ourselves, because it embodies the principle of perfection of masculine and feminine energy within. That's really what the Merkaba is. The top fin is the masculine triangle, the bottom fin is the feminine, and they're in cohesiveness within, and they're in full embodiment within, and this is actually what functions. This is the mechanics of the Stargate system within our light body itself. So it's amazing technology. If you've read or studied any Kalantic science, Asha Nadine or Lisa Renee's work, which are fundamentally like my teachers, they've always been my teachers. They teach about the Merkaba synthesis. They teach about how to shield your 12th dimensional light body by utilizing and visualizing the Merkaba. Some people feel like that symbol code is fallen. They no longer want to work with it. That's fine. I don't like to subscribe to that narrative. I still work with the Merkaba. It works great for me. But you know, some people have experienced rips or tears in their light body by using this, and they feel that it has opened up maybe some portal to the phantom matrix systems. I think this may be according to your blood type and also your ancestral histories and inheritance that you have, whether you're dealing with more negative and invader races or angelic races that are attached to that symbol code according to your experience on the planet. Does that answer the question? I feel so serious. I'm really not serious today. I think I get very serious about this subject because it's just one that's very near and dear to my heart. It's one that's, yes. It's like I feel a sense of urgency to speak as much truth as possible about what's happening on a planetary ascension level. People need to understand the bigger picture of the whole picture, the whole spiritual earth as an organism. That's every single culture and race matters. And I'm not saying that the Islamic race culture, the Muslim culture, the Middle Eastern culture doesn't matter. They do matter. They're very important. They are a very significant. Many of them are the original Atlantean priest lines. They also have been taken over by Islam. Okay, and that mind control, again, the women that are subjugated under this isn't what their ancient roots are. It's not. It goes back to paganism. It goes back to the Berber tribes. It goes back to all of the ancient Persian goddesses of these times that hold the true matriarchal lines and lineages and healing of the divine feminine, that they did once live and function from that place. This has been some sort of planetary infection that is all linked back to the black cube system, the spike matrix, the beast machines, the draconian warfare outpost systems on Mars, and really where I think the blockages are that go back to Nibiru and go back to Maldek, Marduk, and the ancient Tiamat battle versing these things in the implosion planetary warfare systems on the planet. But regardless, none of that shit even matters anymore, because now we're dealing with the aftermath. Now we're dealing with the symptoms of division and all of this warfare that people want to look at everything from this super surface level. They need to go much, much deeper into this in terms of why is this playing out in the holy sense, right? All of this is running through the holy wars. None of this is what the decisions that Bibi Netanyahu are making. None of this is the decisions of what the Ayatollah and Khamenei are making. They are all functioning at a super surface level, but they're all being directed by the core wound of the rift of Africa and by the inner evil turmoil and sludge that's inside of the inner earth. And the earth is trying to purify herself right now. She's trying to cleanse this demonic force off of the earth, trying to shed the layers of all of this conquer and divide and prey versus predator codes, trying to clear out the negative genetic bloodlines that are entangled into the inverted universal tree of life of humanity, because it's fracturing the race morphogenetic field inside of the planet. It's fractured. And this is why the bifurcations of timelines are so severe. This is why people are existing with two different narratives of history entirely. Why all of this is allowed to happen in the first place. So yeah, I think well, yeah, we gotta wake up to the next level, don't we? We need to really do. I think one of the solutions to all of this, and I've been teaching about this for a very long time, which is grid work technology. Grid work technology. I've been working so hard and so due diligently over the years to try to make this something that is widespread amongst the community, that people learn about what this is, because it's what is the cure, honestly. If the whole world could embrace this spiritual wisdom, knowledge, and technology, we could actually heal the entire planet and heal humanity if we embraced it, because it's the one technology that allows us to assess the holographic health, the spiritual health of the planet, and stair step that up to the conscious level of the human being, and therefore run that through the base levels of all architecture of reality that human beings experience, and do this within a cohesiveness that benefits the highest good of all existing and living creatures on the planet, and allows the healing technology and the repair work to start within our minds and to start within our pineals and our crown chakras and our heart chakras, using the body as a receptive manifestation, group thinking, co-collective manifestation tool that allows us to come together and truly repair the things that are damaged inside of the race morphogenetic field of the planet. So it's a lot, but it needs to happen.
Yeah, this was a good question by Jason. That was a breathful. Yeah, I can tell you're passionate about this. Jason says, "Can we spread grid work to other cultures? Or is it possible to like? Do you think we need a mass awakening for that? To where like because like I mean, a lot of these people aren't even awake to that yet. But I mean, right? But we could get there. Maybe I don't know. What do you think?"
Yes. This is a lot of the prophecy, the New Earth prophecy. New Earth prophecy stems from gridwork technology. It's the building and the anchoring of the cathedrals and the learning centers of light that will manifest in the grids in 51 locations all over the planet. And they will be cathedrals of learning, which is where people can go to shed the old programming and download the new programming, the new learning, the new technology of the planet, give them all access to their Akashic records amongst all eternal timelines, and upgrade the education systems on the planet. That's in the future. But what we have to do now is come together to, teach about this. We have to teach it. Basically, what it is it's teaching people how to become avatar shamans, planetary avatar shamans. It's really simple, actually. It's just people reawakening to the fact that they are one with the earth. Okay, and this is why, again, Islam is a huge problem. Islam does not exist in cohesiveness with the earth. If you go to the Middle East, do you know how these people live? Do you know how they all live? Most of them. Most of them live in cement houses with very thick cement walls, okay? 10, 12, 13, 24 inches of cement, okay? Very close to the ground. They live like reptilians. They live inside like cement buildings. Like it's very strange. It's very strange. And most of them, instead of building up, they want to build down into tunnel systems. Why do you think that nuclear facility in Iran is so far in a mountain under the ground? Why do you think that the whole infrastructure of Palestine and Gaza is hundreds of tunnel systems that burrow under the ground? Because they're activated by the negative ET hybrid reptilian force codes within the genetic. This is what they're functioning from. And they're living like reptiles, basically. And so, yeah, we have to start de-escalating the narrative of hatred, teaching hatred into the children, singing death narrative lullabies into the infants, pulling the machine guns and the machetes out of the 5-year-old hands, pulling the knives of the little girls, slicing off their baby dolls' heads to Allahu Akbar out of their hands. And we have to teach them love and compassion. The radicalized left needs to get the fuck out of the way, because they're a problem with this. They're only exacerbating and existing off of the hatred, and that hatred has to be de-escalated, and we have to introduce a new way of existing, which is to activate their planetary avatar land shaman codes, get their 12th dimensional light body healed. But right now, that's all future stuff, because right now what we're dealing with is the trauma and the PTSD. And that's something that has to be addressed far before we can spread the grid work to other cultures across nations. But it will start by individuals from each culture and each nation stepping into grid work knowledge, grid work education, grid work training, and creating communities and facilities in these other places where it can be taught. It has to become a global thing that actually erupts and occurs. And I think it is something that is happening. I have seen it. Many people have approached me from all over the world wanting to create grid work communities and things like this. But the problem is, while we are bleeding out this mind control system on the planet, essentially, people who are teaching things like New Age philosophies, you're considered as an enemy. A lot of this sacred teaching will go through a period and timeline in the future where it has to be kept in secrecy. It has to be held in a state of exile as these transitions occur. So the people that will be stepping into this will be sacred keepers of the earth that will have to be protected from harm, kind of like Christ and his disciples type of thing, right? Where these people are having a technology that can heal and save the world, but they're going to have to be existing in a state that this will not be found out until it's safe for it to come forward. Because right now, the draconian force is, it has its claws in pretty deep. What are you thinking? What are you thinking,
the chat's getting a little rowdy. You know,
what are you thinking, Rob? Is this making sense?
I'm gonna have to put this on Rumble. You know, like.
No, not on Rumble.
I was seeing if we have any more questions. Like,
I'm not looking at the chat. Let me go back.
I can't even put up some of these comments. Like, you know, like, you know.
How about the Jews stop teaching Jewish supremacy and claiming they're God's chosen people? Stop parasiting off the white race. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like we're all God's people.
I didn't want to put up that comment.
Yeah, that's one that you can't put up, and I just said it out loud, so that wasn't good. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, if this is triggering anyone, I mean, I kind of gave a little bit of a disclaimer in the beginning. Like, I'm not here to be spiritually correct. I'm not here to be politically correct. I'm not here to be racially correct. I'm not, you know, I'm tired. I'm tired of that. I'm throwing that out of the way. I'm going to say what I feel like I have to say and what needs to be said to slice through the bullshit, because it's us having to tiptoe around these narratives, all these, you know, things, right? To not be able, this is why we can't ever get to the root of it, right? This might be triggering, and maybe there's truths and maybe there's half truths in this. And a lot of this, of course, is also my opinion according to the things I've studied and my life experiences as well. So I'm not saying I know everything and I'm entirely correct. None of this. It's all to be speculated. It's all to be debated, and it's all to be presented to the collective so people can really filter through these things themselves as well. And, you know, remove the fear. We have to stop being so fearful about speaking about things that borderline racism, that borderline those political correctness, that borderline the religious correctness, and start. Because if we don't, this is another one of the crucifixion implants. You wonder why everybody in the United States and around the world has broken down throat chakras, and we're all barely functioning here. A lot of people can't even get up and speak at all. They can't even stomach seeing their own face or their own voice. They don't believe in their own truth. This is what all this has done to us, is because, you know what, you feel something, but you're scared to say it. You feel a truth, but you're scared to call it out. If you do, you get attacked left, you get attacked right. You say one thing and you have 100 arrows pointing back at you. I understand it. I get it. But you know what? Every time you exercise your right to speak from your truth, you grow an inner resilient shield to fighting those forces that come to stab you. And guess what? The next time they come with the pitchfork, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. You still say what you need to do and what you need to say anyways. And these are the people that exercise this function and gain that strength, that they're the ones that eventually step into the leadership roles and become the next stewards of the planet. because they built that strength and they fought through that pain, and they fought through it, through the adversity, through swimming against the narrative of all the fish, the school of fish that are going in one direction. They decided to turn the fuck around and go back up the stream and figure out why the dam's blocked and why all the fish are stuck down at the bottom. That's what we all need to do. And you know, all of these things that seem so hard, they're really not. They're really not. You know, we're so resilient, we're so strong, we can overcome the things that we're looking at here, and it's just a matter of us, you know, realizing our power and our strength and trying to solve these real world problems. Everyone watching, do you realize that we all can become advocates for change, and especially in the United States? This is one thing that I feel like the higher consciousness community needs to wake up to, is that our political presence isn't there. Guess what? The separation of spirituality and state, our bifurcation of this, has what caused this war on terrorism against us. Because Islam, okay, and the forces of Stargate 10 types, they're coming from a place of unification between religion and state. That makes them more powerful. They're actually more unified. We are so divided here in the United States on this aspect that this is what makes us, even though we're a strong nation, it's a weakness point that we have. The spiritual people in our community actually need to be represented in government, represented on issues, represented in politics. This is how things get changed in our world. Okay, you can create an amazing following. You can be I don't know, who are some big people at the top in the spiritual community, Rob? Throw a couple like super big names out.
There's like I don't know. I mean, you have all those people from. I mean, I don't know that, you know. I mean, there's I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who could really represent our community. What do you guys think? What do you guys think in the chat? Who could represent our community? And I mean, because there's people, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I don't know if that would be like the best representation of our community, you know? So, you know, I don't know, you know, like,
I mean,
think,
people that
you know,
have
us,
hundreds
like,
of thousands,
you know, like,
hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers, you know, these types of people, like, yeah, but you don't see them utilizing that in any way that's going to create some sort of presence in the places that actually create real change, representing spirituality or unification within the soul collective of the United States, right? That's not represented. So, I mean, it's just, that's where I think
yeah.
I think that things need to actually, I mean, if we
I
all
feel
unified on that level,
like
it
a
can
lot
be
of times
amazing.
those people are gatekeepers too, you know? I feel like YouTube
Yes.
uses them. Like, I feel like YouTube uses those people as gatekeepers, you know?
Yeah, you're absolutely
So
right. A
it's
lot of
like,
them
I
are
don't know. I don't know.
infiltrated. A lot of them
It's
are
a mess.
infiltrated by,
We're in a mess.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. A lot of them are infiltrated by the CIA. Creating all the
Yeah. Yeah.
narratives, okay? Yeah, like I personally think like the Galactic Federation, um, all of these like conglomerations of worlds, all of these like groups that have these big reclamation of their label of whatever the narrative, the galactic war narrative they're trying to bring forward. I think these are all CIA intelligence groups that have bugged and infiltrated the higher spiritual community.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, we've been going about an hour. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we finish up? This was amazing, you know?
I love you, Rob. It's always amazing. I love when we get together. I love that you let me speak so freely, and you know, you just hang in there with me and like honestly support a lot of the things that I speak about. And so I appreciate, you know, you for always being super supportive of whatever rant I have coming out of me at the time. And just know that I love you so much, and I love everyone watching. I hope that you can still love me and forgive me for some of the things I said if you didn't agree with them. Just know that I think we're all working through it together at the end of the day. I'd encourage you to come and join the live roundtables that I have, because I mean, I try to bring in a lot of my divine sister team that come together, and we don't always have the same agreement about everything we're saying, and we bring each other new perspective, and we hash out a lot of the current events and issues that are playing out and bring a lot of spiritual enlightenment to the topics. So, you know, I encourage you to come and join the roundtables, and, you know, just take in the information, study what's happening, what's occurring, and, you know, kind of try to get that lens that's going to pull back on everything on a global level, and see if that helps, you know, shift or dissolve whatever triggers might be there, because now's not the time to get triggered. You know, now is the time to recognize what's happening and put things into action. You know, be more of a spoken activist to some degree, be someone who's really vouching for change and truth. I think if you don't like the way the women are being treated on the planet, and we're going to sit here and be like, oh, the divine feminine's being oppressed, and what, you know, like that's, you know, no, don't accept that. Where is it coming from? It's coming from forced breeder programs. It's coming from hybridization programs. It's coming from Stargate 10. It's coming from the erosion of women in the Western world with Jezebel Bonnie Blue and Islamist Andrew Tate, who have spoken out advocately in their most recent interview that women should lose their vote. He is using this woman to come forward and say that women should no longer be allowed the right to vote. Why? Because he's saying that women like Bonnie Blue, who is the Wall Street banker of prostitution, is shaming the men in this country. She's shameful. This is shameful. If you don't like men, if you don't like how this looks, well, we ban against the women and we take their right to vote away because they don't make good decisions and they don't deserve to vote. This is how men can take the power back. And women, if you think that that is not going to happen and that's that far away, we've already lost entire rights over reproduction, period. Whether you're pro-life or not pro-life, whether you believe in abortion, you don't believe in abortion, whatever, it doesn't matter. Those rights are continuing to become non-existent. Okay, so the next step will be for them to take the vote away. And when you have dangerous people like Andrew Tate, who is an Islamist, okay, this is where it's coming from. We have to wake up to where the forced breeder ideology is being pushed and where it's coming from. We will lose our rights again, plummeting us back into the dark ages. So I think instead of sitting here all the time and just being in this like spiritual foo-foo state, which I love my spiritual foo-foo state, connecting with the divine feminine goddesses, connecting with the cosmic mother, all these things, but just sitting here and being like, oh, the divine feminine's oppressed, the divine feminine's more evolved, the masculine's just behind, da-da-da-da-da-da. No, it's time for women to be like, no, where the frick is this coming from? Where's the root of the problem? Recognize where that root's coming from, and we have to speak to it, and we have to fight. We have to, I mean, I don't want to say fight, but we have to push ideologically the solutions, because everything is an ideological war, everything. And until we get strong in our ideology and know the backbone, especially for women, we'll never have one. There'll never be one. We'll continue to get ran over all the time. Unfortunately, there's just not enough coalition power for women to truly rise up in a sense. And I think men fear feminism so deeply that they don't see that that's something that could actually be a solution to change anything. And they will not have it. They will not submit to that. So unfortunately, we're playing a lot of ring around the rosies.
I agree. Oh, what happened? She disappeared. Okay. Well, we'll finish it. I gotta be somewhere, guys. Listen, guys. If you want to tune in, I'm gonna be live again at 4 p.m. Eastern with Pink Bella Aloha, and I'm also gonna be live again at 7 p.m. maybe 8 p.m. Eastern with Michelle Whitney. And so there's 2 shows tonight. But then also, subscribe to Indigo Angel, follow Indigo Angel in www.indigoangel222.com, and follow her on YouTube at Indigo Angel. And Yeah, and thank you everybody for tuning in. I gotta be somewhere. I didn't want to cut her short, but like she went off the screen. I think she might have lost her internet connection or something. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in today, and have a good night. And I'll see you guys at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight.